Early on the 9th of January 1828, a note was delivered to Apsley House from the Lord Chancellor. While the Duke was still dressing, the Lord Chancellor himself arrived to sweep him off to Windsor. The King wanted him to form a government.
The Duke accepted the office of Prime Minister. He turned up here at number 10 Downing Street on Copenhagen, the horse he'd ridden at Waterloo. The Duke is unique in being the only professional soldier in modern British history to become Prime Minister. But he admitted, "It is an office for the performance of the duties of which I am not qualified, and they are very disagreeable to me." But responsibility had never, for one moment, frightened him.
I feel that I am capable of doing or acquiring anything I choose. I must work for myself and by myself, and please God, I shall succeed in establishing in the country a strong government, and then I may retire with honour.
His arrogance would make cabinet government difficult, especially when he had to deal with the infighting of his political colleagues. Although his ministers had been scrupulously polite at a dinner Wellington had hosted at Apsley House, it was the courtesy, as one of them put it, of men who had just fought a duel. What's more, most of them already felt that the Duke was domineering.
Thank you very much. Robert, I need to just talk to you for 1 minute. Now, absolutely.
Wellington found the task of leading a cabinet infuriating.
All my time is employed in assuaging what gentlemen call their feelings. One man wants one thing and one another. They agree to what I say in the morning, and in the evening up they start with something which deranges the whole plan. I used to be accustomed to carry on things in a quite different manner. I assembled my officers, laid down my plan, and it was carried into effect.
The Duke threw himself into his new job with fervour and confidence. His great strengths were his legendary attention to detail and his administrative ability. When an official at the Treasury told him that a certain change in his department's accounting methods was impossible, the Duke said, "Never mind. If you cannot accomplish it, I will send you half a dozen pay sergeants who will." But his years as a military commander, surrounded by officers who simply obeyed orders, had made him dangerously authoritarian.
In May 1828, William Huskisson, colonial secretary in the Duke's cabinet, publicly stepped out of line and voted against the party. Now the Duke's autocratic nature was to show itself. When confronted by the whip, Huskisson wrote to the Duke, "I owe it to you to lose no time in affording you an opportunity of placing my office in other hands." In the convoluted etiquette of the time, Huskisson was offering an apology rather than a resignation. Wellington responded with the inflexibility of an officer facing insubordination.
Your letter of 2 this morning, which I received at 10, has surprised me and has given me great concern. I have considered it my duty to lay it before the King.
A friend of Huskisson's called round to number 10 to explain that the letter had been a mistake. Wellington snapped, "There is no mistake, there can be no mistake, there shall be no mistake." And he stepped out for a stroll along Birdcage Walk, just in case Huskisson should call in person.
Within a few days, other members of the cabinet had walked out in sympathy with Huskisson. Wellington had made a crucial mistake. He had failed to read what lay on the other side of the hill. He should have been uniting his party instead of dividing it. Ahead lay one of the most explosive issues of his day,